A7 III versus A9, which one should you buy used? I own both of these cameras and I'm going to talk about my experiences with them on real life, real world paid shoots over the last couple of months and let you know which one should be the best for you. So I strongly believe that camera bodies you should buy used if you can. And part of the reason is depreciation. The A9 when it was brand new was $4,500. The A7 III when it was brand new was right around $2,000. Both can be had for much less than that on the used market. At the time of this video, you can get an A9 for around $2,600 used. You can get an A7 III for around $1,500 used. So maybe about $1,000 difference between the two. Which one should you get? It's all going to depend on what you're going to use it for. The A7 III, I like it a lot better for portraits. Part of the reason is, to me, it's a little bit sharper than the A9. And there's going to be a little bit of controversy there, but for me, side by side, looking at some of the files that come out of both of these, the A7 III files were just that much sharper. Like, not enough to where your clients would notice a difference, but as a photographer, whenever I'm doing headshots, whenever I'm doing a portrait session, I grab the A7 III because I like the files that are coming out of here. You're doing something where you can tell somebody, okay, stop and do that again, then I would say get the A7 III. If you're going to be doing photojournalism, where you're shooting a wedding, where you can't really tell the bride, hey, can you go back and walk down the aisle one more time? Then I would lean towards the A9. Or if you're photographing sports, just anything where you can't call timeout and halt the action and tell a person to do something again, I would go with the A9, because in those situations where you don't want to miss a shot, I feel like the A9 is better. Also, there's no blackout on the A9 when you're shooting it. So if you're using the silent shutter, electronic shutter mode, the A9 is worlds better. And when I say worlds better, it's once you get used to shooting with no blackout, you don't want to go back to shooting with that blackout that you get with the A7 III. So for me, when I'm in a church or in a scenario where, you know, I prefer to be quiet, maybe a corporate event and the keynote speaker's up there and you're trying to be, have a minimal presence in a situation like that, the A9 is much better. Also, you don't have to worry about the banding issues with the A9 as much compared to the A7 III. The A7 III, I've had shoots inside big ballrooms that had LED lighting, and you look in the background and you see what I describe as like zebra stripes against the wall, where it was like one, you know, stripe where it was darker, lighter, darker. Now the A7 III was released a little bit later than the A9. The body is a little bit different. The major difference is when you're trying to change from you know, single shot mode to one of these low speed modes or high speed shoot modes, it's a lot easier versus the A9 where you have to push the button down and spin the dial and all that. With the A7 III, there's one button that you can just push and then spin the dial all with your thumb, and it's a lot easier to me. I prefer that. If you want to talk about video, you're talking to the wrong person. I don't shoot a ton of video. I shoot these YouTube videos, and for me, the A9 video is fine. You know, it doesn't have, you know, all the different log modes, and so if you're into color grading and, you know, things like that, and you're gonna do all this cool fancy stuff in post, then obviously the A7 III would be better. But if you're like me, and the reality is you shoot most of your videos on 1080, and in terms of color grading, you may just add a little bit of saturation and contrast after the fact, the A9 is more than capable. One other thing is if you're shooting in really dark environments, I feel like the A9 is a lot better than the A7 III. I say this for receptions or corporate events where it's dimly lit, but maybe there's one big spotlight on the keynote speaker. In those situations, I would much rather have the A9. For when the bride is walking down the aisle in a really dark church and she's moving like she's sprinting, like for whatever. Side note, why is it that sometimes you get couples that walk down the aisle at a gingerly pace and you get other people that are like running down the damn aisle? Like, but anyway, situations like that where you can't really reshoot it, the A9 and the autofocus comes in handy. As for the viewfinder, the EVF, and the LCD on the back, I don't like either one of them, to be honest with you. I know people are gonna be like, oh, the A9 is much better. It's a little bit better, but like, with Sony, both of them stink to me. Hope this video helped. Hit that like button, share, subscribe, and let's get this channel going. Like, I really want to get to the point to where we're doing bigger and better things, and I need you guys to subscribe in order to do that. Got to get these numbers up to get the big fish to come in and sponsor stuff and do whatever, so I can do giveaways, meetups, Facebook groups, whatever. It all starts with you. We can get this thing going, and leave any questions or comments you have below, anything that I didn't touch on.